when you look at Canada, a lot of the topic is going to go to potash, right? So when you look at potash, roughly 7 million tons of potash, or 85% of the U.S. demand comes from Canada. So when you look at, and most of those tons come to us via the rail line. So when you look at that, you look at spring seasons among us, right, or coming here pretty quick. We're looking at like 80% of those tons have already been locked in or taken care of before this season is here. Most of that, it was spread last fall, right? So only 20% of that potash should be affected by the tariff.
So at that point, if we add 25% onto the price, then we're not really applying it to a tremendous amount of fertilizer that we're going to apply anytime soon.
That is correct. And one thing we got to remember is 25% is added to the price. Part of that price is transportation too. So the tariff's not going to be added to the transportation. It's going to be added to the product itself.
Okay. Do you or other fertilizer distributors, are we calculating prices and what may be coming in the future, or is this just something you're wait and see what happens?
Yeah, we'll wait and see how the market reacts to the tariff.
Have you heard what anybody else is doing around the country, or your upside suppliers, what they are doing?
Yeah, the market, as far as potash goes, hasn't done a lot here recently. It seems like they added some increased pricing to it here a while back when we talked earlier, and the market hasn't moved since. So they prepared, before today.
Are we getting anything else besides potash from Canada?
Absolutely. So when you look at AMS, 50% of the U.S. AMS comes from Canada, but most of those tons go to the West Coast, so they really don't come to the Corn Belt, right? Not to us here in central Illinois. So roughly about 950,000 tons anhydrous ammonia comes from Canada. A lot of that comes out of Courtright, Ontario, Canada. That terminal can load rail cars of anhydrous ammonia as well as truck tons. And there's also 535 to 550,000 tons of urea that comes from Canada as well.
Now, we looked at what prices would be on that. Do we have that product in here inside the U.S., or is this something that we may see some higher pricing on it?
So when you look at anhydrous ammonia, us in central Illinois may use that as an option for fill tons in the off season. That's not really going to be an option for us in season because logistically they couldn't keep up, right? We put anhydrous ammonia in the ground so fast in this area that we got to use our local terminals during season to make that work. So anhydrous I don't think is an issue, and urea. The thing with urea, it's going to be a bigger impact is when India buys a tender, right? And what that amount looks like and what those tons, how that's going to affect the market, and that's yet to be seen on urea.
India takes a lot off the market, and so at that point, the U.S. Farmer is going to be getting what the residual is in the urea supply, and then at that point, we have to price that out.
That is correct, and we fully expect when they come to the market, the market's going to react, and that price will rise at that time. But last few days, urea has softened some, which needed to happen.
Is there anything that you would recommend to farmers that they do to protect themselves from whatever horrendous impact the tariffs would have on them?
I don't know if this really has anything to do with the tariff talk, but as you and I talk a lot, and I'm a big proponent that if a grower is buying fertilizer, they need to sell grain to hedge that purchase, and that is still something we're trying to teach and coach growers to do, because you look at today, 80 to 90% of the fertilizer for this crop year is locked in and bought, right? And I'm hearing elevator folks talk about only 10% of the grain has been sold for the 2025 crop year. That's a little concerning to me. I guess I hope that they're right, that the market's going to rise and they can have our farmers can have higher profitability.